Hey, Skiba News Nation family. Welcome to our live stream. What's up, Jake? What's up, Bubba?
Hey, what's going on?
Hey.
Man, we got a good live stream for you guys today. And yeah, what do you want to do first?
I hope we don't get a blackout.
Yeah, it is thundering and lightning. I don't know if that's really a word, but it's pretty bad out. So if we go black, just know we've been taken out by the Clintons.
But Jake should stay there, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we're right in Tornado Alley up here as well. We keep getting these like whip lashes of storm clouds that just pass through. But really, you know, it's really, you got to be careful. However, I do want to put it out there that if there's anybody that wants to be a ghostwriter for my novel idea of some cowboys that learn to lasso tornadoes and ride them to utter glory and honor, please write me and we'll discuss it further. But anyways,
yeah, it sounds like a cool movie idea. It's like Sharknado.
Just imagine it, man. They're up on top of a storm chasing vehicle, like with a lasso, and it's got like a kite attached to the end of it. And they're like, yeehaw! I couldn't get the thrill riding those Broncos, but now I can ride this tornado to utter glory.
Yeah.
Amen, brother.
Hopefully he won't run into a falling house.
Yeah, that's what I said on my Patreon. I posted the storm that was going to go over it, and I said, hey guys, we got a big storm coming over, but I just want you to know that if I do end up in Oz, I will send you guys a postcard, and I might ride on a flying monkey, may not, but I'll be in a better place. And then I put a video of the yellow brick road.
The yellow brick road.
Hey, listen, if Dorothy can survive it, then we can too. I mean,
that's what my mom always said.
You know, speaking of Dorothy, you guys ever heard about how the Pink Floyd album corresponds with the Wizard of Oz?
It does. It's Dark Side of the Moon is the Pink Floyd album. I actually posted that on my Patreon. There's a whole long video where from beginning to end is the whole movie, and it plays that whole album. And if you guys are Patreons, you get to watch that for free. But makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think there was a lot of that capitalist message behind the Wizard of Oz that's really interesting, you know, if you kind of unpack it in the metaphor that it's talking about. But I have some fun extracurricular recording that I did this week, and I think it's going to be fun and entertaining. And while we wait for the numbers to boost up before we get into our news segment, let's check out the last day of the live tabernacle presentation in Nixa, Missouri that my family attended. It was really once in a lifetime experience, you could put it that way. But check this out.
Size? Yes, it is. And how can we find out? Well, we use a thing called a cubit. So if you like, you can put your hands like this, touch the top of the fingers, touch the bottom of your elbow. This is what a cubit would look like. And by that, you can put it down if you like. Okay. I'm not going to let y'all suffer with that. But they actually would determine it by the king who was ruling at that time. And that's why we have the name ruler for our measurements today. But anyway, we're going to go through 5 stations: the overview, the courtyard, holy, most holy place, also known as the holies of holies, and last but not least, the high priest's garment tent. We're going to look at 3 ways to look at the sanctuary. Number uno, is going to be the history, how the Israelites lived with the sanctuary. Number 2 is going to be the timeline, how Christ's life is even reflected in the tabernacle, and even the application, how it actually reflects humanity's life, even though it was made hundreds of years ago. Now, did you know that with our own sanctuary here, we've been traveling for over 30 years. This year is our 30th anniversary. Yeah, it's older than I. Pretty cool.
Where are we going to see? The tabernacle? Hey, tabernacle trip. All right, Aaliyah, lead the way into the tabernacle. You're the oldest, so you got to go first. All right, go on.
Enter into his gates with thanksgiving and enter.
Whoa.
East from the west, so far he removed our transgressions from us.
Hey, Papa, there's a lamb over there.
There's a lamb.
I want to go see the
Oh,
lamb.
well, let's go over here. We're about to witness the live sacrifice. It was really interesting. We're ready for the sacrifice. Here we go. Woo!
I'm glad that lady's doing it. The same lady.
She seems really qualified.
Yeah.
Sit on the front row so you can see really good.
It should have been gone.
To mention the overview, when there's a day of dedication, fire will come down from heaven. It
I
will
hope there's
consume the
blood.
sacrifice. And that fire was to never be burned out because that fire was a sign that this was God's house. And he
Thank
was
you so
dwelling
much,
with
John.
it. And this is where all the sacrifices will be burned and turn to ash. Did you guys notice that there is a pile of ashes near where the altar of sacrifice is? That's where the east side is. The priest would actually have to change out of their outfit into a new one, and to take those ashes, take it far out to the east, out of the camp, to toss out those ashes, never to be seen again. And then, if you look over to your left, this is the laver. Everybody say, ooh. Everybody say, ah, because it's made out of pure brass. And also, this is where the common and high priest will wash their hands and wash their husband, wife, and 7 kids. That's burdensome. And so that means if you, Mr. Hugo, would have to sin, or any of your family sin, that means you will be the one to offer a sacrifice. Now, this could be a lamb. This could be any other, like a turtle dove, and even a ram, and even other things, but we're only going to talk about
It was
a
like
common
looking
person,
right at me the whole
a
time.
lamb. They're going to
Yeah,
take
it's
this
like,
lamb
"Help
to
me.
the gate.
Help
The
me.
priest will be waiting for them. They
She's
will
not
inspect the lamb,
qualified.
make sure there's no blemish, spots, nor broken bones. Then they'll go to the north side, right over there. And then the sinner will place one hand upon the head of the lamb. All the
Okay.
sins of him and his family will be transferred to this lamb symbolically. Now here's the tricky question. Who's going to have to kill the lamb now? The priest or the sinner? The sinner. Why is that? Because the sinner was the reason that the lamb had to die in the first place. So, we'll take their knife.
She's
Sinner,
enjoying
by the
it.
way, this is not just any ordinary lamb. This lamb, they had to raise on their own. It's kind of like one of their own. So, we'll take the knife, cut under the lamb's neck. The blood will drain. Then the sinner will flip the lamb on his backside. He'll take the knife and cut under the stomach
man.
and take out 3 types of filtering
He's still
organs:
looking
the
at me.
kidney, the colt, which is kind of like the liver, and last but not least, the fat. Put it there.
You could have
and
done
then they'll
something.
take these organs, hand them
Could
to
have
the
helped
priest,
me.
and
Yep.
the sinner gets to go fully believing that his sins are forgiven. In the meantime, the priest will take the blood for the head of the household, his family, take it to the horns and the altar sacrifice, put it upon them, and pour it at the base. Some of the meat will be cut, boiled, and the priest will eat of it. Now the filtering organs placed on the altar, sacrifice to burn. Rest of the lamb will be taken out far out to the east to be burned, never to be seen again. But how would this all point out to Christ? Once again, everything inside the sanctuary all points to symbolism, and there's colors that resemble that too. For example, brass. You know, in the courtyard, everything's either overlaid or made out of brass. I know people say
I got some brass
copper or
knuckles
bronze,
somewhere.
but just for today, we're going to call it brass. This represents
They
Christ
must be
once only.
shiny.
And then you have
Very shiny.
gold, the golden tabernacle. That represents Christ's life in heaven. Now, if you notice, there are 5 pillars on the golden tabernacle. On the top and in the middle, it's overlaid with gold. But look at the bottom. What color is that? Brass. It represents Christ coming from heaven down to earth as a helpless baby, growing up in the same environment. But at age 30, he was
Hey, there you are,
baptized
Jake.
at the river Jordan to dedicate
How did you know,
himself into
man?
ministry.
What?
They
So
built
in
a
the
statue
Hebrew
of you,
culture,
man.
At age 30, that's when
That's what I'm
somebody
going for.
dedicates himself to the ministry that God put him to be.
Desert
like
underwear,
Solomon at age 30,
turban.
that's when he became king.
Very nice.
Christ,
my
when
friend.
he was 30, dedicated himself into the ministry by baptism with water. Just like the common priests and the Levites, Aaron's sons, who are getting ready to be common priests, to wash their hands and wash their feet at the laver. Then also we have the altar of sacrifice. This is where all the sins of the world, the common and individual sacrifice, burden their sins upon the Lamb. Just like how all the sins of the world are burned upon Christ. Now, what does the Lamb represent? Jesus. You know, John 1:29, John the Baptist saw Jesus and coming down to the river of Jordan, and he said, "Behold the Lamb of God, which taketh away the sin of the world." Now, this was not just any ordinary lamb. This was the sacrificial lamb that we just talked about.
Did she really need that
1
microphone?
9 says, "But without the precious
I don't think
blood
she
of
even had
Christ,
it on.
as of a lamb without blemish and without spot." And then this lamb was taken to the north side to be slaughtered. To be in here. Now, this is super important before you even start the tour. Sandwiched by 2 other tour guides, so it'll be a lot more difficult to hear me. So it's really important. So is this a good volume for everybody? Am I talking too fast? I know. You know, I apologize. If
A little bit too fast for me.
Lots
Oh,
of
I'm just
information to grab at every station. So
You're doing great.
welcome. Beautiful. Anyway, welcome to the holy place. Congratulations. You are in a place that not even the Israelites can be able to go in.
Well,
The only
replica.
people can
Let's
be in
just.
here is
We don't want to
Aaron's
be
son,
blocked on
the
social
common
media.
and the high
Yes.
priest.
It's an
if we
alleged
take a look
place.
Over to our 3 furnitures on the north side, we have the table of my presence, also known as the table of showbread. There's 2 crowns. Now, who wears crowns? Kings, right? They sit on thrones. Just keep that in mind. We got 2 stacks of unleavened bread, 6 loaves on each side. Now, every week, once a week, every Sabbath, you have the Kohathites. Now, the Kohathites are part of the Levite tribe.
You think
We have
these
the
kids
Gershonites,
are
Merarites,
comprehending it all?
Kohathites, and Aaron's
Oh,
sons.
I think
They
they're
all
eating it
had
up.
the privilege
They're all
to serve
dressed
the
in
sanctuary
priestly garb.
because the
They're
Levites
like
were the only
have
tribe that
actual
didn't bow
Torah
down
scrolls
to
like
the
on their
calf.
laps. It was
Now, what
amazing.
happened
It was
is that the Kohathites
Yeah,
took
Ellie
care
looked
of
like
the
she was
furniture,
really
but they
understanding.
also made the bread. They'll bring
Ellie-
the bread hot,
Ellie
fresh,
was
and
sitting
ready.
up in her chair
They will
going,
replace the old stacks with
I
the
like
Tell
the
me what-
lamb.
But what
I like
they
the lamb.
come into
The
old
lamb's
bread?
cool with
The
me.
common and high priest will come together and take that old
If it were me,
bread.
we'd keep the lamb.
Now we have the altar of incense. Now inside the coals will be coal. Inside the pit will be coals burning continually, burning an incense in that little bowl, making a smoky aroma that's lifting up before the veil into the most holy place in the presence of God. This is part of the congregational sacrifice. Remember, 9 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. This is the continuation of it. The high priest, he kills the lamb, collects the blood. Remember, when I say congregational, this is for all of Israel. Now, before he could actually enter inside, he has to wash his hands and wash his feet at the laver, but also take off his sandals. Since he is on holy
This is
ground,
the
since
live
some
presentation of the
remember
third
Moses
temple,
was
Yahuwah's
in that
Savage
fiery
Warrior,
bush?
if you're
And in
curious.
that fiery
This
bush,
is
they take
the,
off their sandals because why?
this is
You
what they're
don't want
doing?
the ground.
No.
So they'll
It was
take the
an
blood,
exhibit in
enter
Nixa, Missouri.
inside the holy place. They'll put the blood upon the 4 horns, kind of like the altar of sacrifice, and sprinkle before the veil 7 times. People have never seen in their lives. I mean, remember, if you were a common Israelite, the only place you could be is in the courtyard. If you're one of Aaron's sons, you could be in the holy place. But
courtyard.
the only person
Courtyard.
It's like she was
Just
waiting
inside
for
this
somebody to
covenant is
Courtyard's
high
the
priest
answer.
once a year, called the Day of Atonement, and also people call it Yom Kippur. Let's take a little look inside and see the Ark of the Covenant. And by the way, there's no hole there. Be covered. Only way to get inside is through the mercy seat. You know how the Ark of the Covenant's facing towards you? It'd be facing eastward towards the veil. Now inside will be the 10 Commandments, Aaron's rod, the bowl of manna, but last but not least, on the outside will be the Torah, the first 5 books of the scriptures written by Moses. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and what? Deuteronomy, yay, Bible scholars here. Anyway, so, 1 in every 7 years, there's always a generation coming in that probably don't know why they're there in the first place. So, the high priest will take the scroll, take it out to the community, to read to them, to remind them where they came from, but also the laws that they had to follow. But let's talk about the Day of Atonement. Now, what is the Day of Atonement and why was it so important? Now, amongst all the feast days, like the Passover and the harvest and, all of those all those feast days, the one feast day that was important was the Day of Atonement because that was when all of the sins of Israel will be cleansed. Now, remember the blood that was upon the horns of the altar and of sacrifice and the altar of incense? It represents the recording of sins. Jeremiah 17:1 says, "The sin of Judah is written with a pen of iron, and with the pen of iron, and graven upon the tables of their hearts and upon the hearts of your altars." See, what happened is like when somebody sins, it's kind of like somebody recording it. But at the Day of Atonement, that's when somebody just used white out and white all of it, so they start clean for the year.
All right.
Because even though the scriptures can be big in detail, sometimes there's little tiny information that we can't get. So all we know, one's called the Urim and one's Thummim. This is basically showing the will of God. It's like
They're just like,
let's say scenario.
What's up?
Israel wants to go to war. They go to the high priest. They ask for the Lord's will, and then you have the high priest basically asking for the Lord's will.
So I thought this part was interesting, and I love talking about this with the more esoteric Bible scholars out there, because the Urim and the Thummim, the things that the high priest used to determine the will of the Almighty, is very interesting, considering he had these stones, and like there was some type of like a lot casting or discernment that could be found in the way the stones vibrated or something that would like tell him this divine knowledge. And so she talks a little bit about the Hebrew on the helm and stuff, but
last but not least, we have the white mitre hat and a golden crown with ancient Hebrew. Do they teach them school more ancient Hebrew? No,
some schools.
Me either. I never learned it. But
no, they do not teach ancient Hebrew, and that's because it would blow up your understanding of scriptural concepts. That was just a cute little kind of field trip I wanted to share with you guys. But why is it that they don't teach ancient biblical Hebrew in terms of modern spirituality in the Christian church? It's almost something that's laid aside for more preferred Greek study. But check this out. I loved this little clip, and I think you guys will enjoy it. And then we have one more that's a throwback to what Rob discovered with Project 314 and the round tabernacle. So we saw the square one, that whole presentation. Now we're going to see how it could have possibly looked in a different theorem. All right.
The Hebrew word Adam. Hebrew words are built, they're not just spelled. The word Adam is Aleph, Daled, Mem. Now, every Hebrew letter has meaning. It's not just spelled, it's built. Hebrew words are built. Everybody say Hebrew words are built. The letter Aleph is the letter that represents God. And it's made from two yods and a vav. A yod is a hand and a vav is a nail. The letter that represents God is made of two hands and a nail. What? So this letter represents God. The name Elohim begins with an Aleph. The word Daled Mem spells the word dome, which means blood. We know that the life of the flesh is in the, talk to me, y'all, the life of the flesh is in the, so here's what a man is. A man is a godlike creation with flesh and blood. And our objective is to make the man, the flesh and blood part of us becoming more like the God part of us. That's what it means to be a man. Are y'all tracking? So God is most concerned with our being. We are most concerned with our having. The Hebrew word Adam, Hebrew word.
Very interesting. So I love getting into the Hebrew whenever you talk about unlocking the scriptures. There's so many layers that the language presents. And specifically the research of a Andy Hoy that your dad uncovered several years ago, Jeremiah, has really caught a lot of people's attention. And I've talked with him in the past. Cool guy. I can't help but to share this interesting theory called Project 314 that Rob has talked about in several of his tour portions and teachings over the years. So I wanted to share it again today since we visited a live tabernacle place. So check this out. Can you hear this?
We should turn our mics off.
Now that's the courtyard that we saw in my video. This is the traditional way that we've learned from history that they believe the tabernacle was created. So the interesting theory is that you have to actually add holes and fabric and fasteners to make a square tabernacle that's structurally sound. However, you could follow the same instructions in another light. So, what if instead of that square multi-layered box, it was a 3-story tall domed structure that's measurements actually record instructions to build a pyographic hovel, right? To where instead of a very unstable square structure, which is one of the least stable structures in nature, instead, the Most High commanded they create a domed, structurally incredibly resilient structure that was 3 stories tall and would glow like a beaming eyeball in the middle of the desert. And so, therefore, the theory that Andy Hoy's putting forward and that your father Rob discovered and started sharing and talking about is that whenever Balaam comes to curse Israel, he speaks about the magnificent tents of Jacob. And does this, tiny little square box really look like something that would, strike somebody as awe-inspiring and beautiful and magnificent as his blessing entailed? Or does this thing on the right, which has some really profound, perspective differences in the case of all of those stories that we've envisioned the Israelites traveling and fighting? What if this was the structure that they were transporting, setting up camp across the Jordan from cities of the Nephilim, and they're all freaking out going, oh man, those guys are terrifying. And there's a pillar of fire of smoke beaming off the top of this thing. Oh man.
It's like that times version of the Las Vegas sphere. Kind of
yes,
like half a sphere.
Exactly. Wow. What if
illuminated?
What if the Las Vegas sphere is the tabernacle of Babylon?
Well, we'll have to find out. We're gonna go take a trip to Las Vegas.
Listen, please let me know. I would love to go on that trip, Jeremiah, because I think that thing is crazy. That dome, like eyeball in the sky. I'm convinced they're going to plug it into AI and it's going to start to speak to the people,
Probably will, if it's not already.
Awesome, man. Well, yeah, guys, just a cool little detour at the beginning of our live stream as we wait for people to join live. Thank you for jumping on the Skiba News Nation live show. Make sure to drop a like and a comment and interact with us in the chat. It's free.
It's free. Come on, guys.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So this week we have a caller rang in with a question. I figured we could do that. And then after that, I have a special surprise Skiba News Nation exclusive. So let's hear who left a message for Skiba News Nation Live this week.
Alrighty.
Well, I told you that I would give you my theory on the Monkey King. Well,
Did it just freeze?
It's freezing on my end, but here, maybe it's just his call.
it's Nemo. Well, I told you that I would give you my theory on the Monkey King. Well,
Ooh.
your dad helped me with this, Jeremiah.
Monkey King
In
theory.
the Book of Jubilees,
Might be my internet, guys.
was turned into monkey and elephant type people. Well, I believe one of those monkey or ape people ended up in Asia and started telling the people that he was some monkey Buddha, attack Buddha, I think is what he was. And so, therefore, the legend of the Monkey King became a thing, and Monkey God. So, peace, love, and chicken grease, I'm out.
So what do you think about that?
A very interesting. Now, I will say that I think you misquoted. It's not the Book of Jubilees. It's the Book of Jasher. Although I might be mistaken. Jubilees, if somebody has seen that in Jubilees, maybe refresh my memory. But I specifically think Jasher mentions those who were cursed after the Tower of Babel fell into several lots of punishment. Some died. Some had their language confused. But it says some of the men that tried to ascend the tower to get into heaven were turned into both elephants and apes. And that it totally familiar with that theory, Nemo. And I think it's really fascinating. But one thing that I've always zoomed in on is the other side of that kind of animalistic curse was the elephants that we have in the world today. They have some interesting qualities that actually are very close to mankind in a very strange way. You'd look at an elephant and almost look at it as a type of like herding animal, like a cow or something, just much bigger. But no. Did you know that the bone structure in the feet of a elephant, they are very similar in type of structure as the human foot? And not only that, they live roughly 80 years. They have very complex social, kind of emotional and intelligent kind of interactions. But their females, right, have breasts like human females. So instead of having like udders like a cow, they have literal breasts. Just really, really interesting, like how the one species that apparently people were cursed to become have these like traits, almost as if it could be true. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought it was a very interesting story. Yahuwah Savage Warrior is Nemo, I'm pretty sure. So he said he gets those two confused, Jasher and Jubilees, which I would be the same way.
Oh yeah, no worries, man.
Names confuse me too.
Yeah, all those J apocryphal texts. All right, sweet. Well, for those of you who have tuned in, we're about to get into our news segment, but first, we have a Skiba News Nation exclusive music video. I've been thumbing around with this for a few weeks now, and I wanted to share it with you guys. Shout out to True Light, who I collaborated with on this, and hope you guys enjoy. You ready? Here we go.
It takes time to find the truth, discern the voice, follow through. It has been a while, but we finally hear it again. Before me, witness of the glory, it unfolds like a story, flowing like a circuit, stepping into the waters and worketh. Fear is the beginning of wisdom. Love is the end of it. Eyes be freed from the veil of the enemy. Before the Holy One, no unclean thing will be seen. If ya don't build your house, it has been built in vain. So remove your stains.
I don't wanna be corrupted, misled by these evil puppets. Trapped in the press by substance. Wake up, get dressed for nothing. You show me we live for something. On my sin, you died because it. You save me from all destruction. You save me from all destruction. You save me from all destruction.
Take away all my sin. Cleanse out my temple, make me pure again. Reignite my life when you see me go down. Find my fire, so throw me back in. I'll come out righteous like a precious gem. Perfection is perfected all by him. I'm saved from the depths, cause his ruach is there. Remembering back in the day when I was lost, I wasn't saved. Walking in darkness in my grave, it all changed when I seek your face. Walking in righteousness and grace, free from bondages and chains, living for promises away. Crushing the evil with your name, fishing with tassels ain't no game. Crushing that apple, don't partake. Stopping on Babel, watch it break. Coming to the last day, fishing with tassels ain't no game. Crushing that apple, don't partake. Stopping on Babel, watch it break. Coming to the last days.
All right. Sweet. Anyways, yeah, man. What'd you think?
I love the song. You guys are freaking me out on that roof a little bit.
Yeah, we were just a few slips short of a broken tooth, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, as Joe Biden would say, don't jump.
Yeah. As Donald Trump would say, hey, somebody check that roof.
You know, that's one of his most famous lines, I will say.
Oh, man. All right. So we have a funny start off of our news segment here with Donald Trump. And he had some really interesting things to say. Let's start off with this. One moment.
Lopping off someone's ding-a-ling doesn't make them a woman, it makes them a eunuch. But you already knew that, right? So, as I was saying, George Soros, Bill Gates, and many more are pursuing a depopulation agenda. Very inappropriate. Poison in the food, fake medicine, endocrine disruptors, psych meds, and mass immigration. They want to turn your kids gay, retarded, or both. David Hogg, Harry Sisson, and that one fat chick are the prototypes.
AI.
Very off-putting. I don't often say the
AI
word
disclaimer.
yuck, but I think it fits here. Conspiracy theories, for the most part, are simply spoiler alerts. Alex Jones, paragon of truth and justice, has been saying these sorts of things for years.
Skiba News Nation.
It's high time we start paying attention.
Okay, so this is a deep fake, obviously, but let people dream, right? This is so ominous when you think about the implications of why they would need to censor and control information in an AI age, and that they need to be able to prove that deep fakes like this aren't real. But
Well, you know what they do, right? Every YouTube video that we post, I have to check a box that says nothing in this video is AI. It's interesting.
That's the hook. That's how they get you. Yeah, I think it's fascinating just seeing, the things he was saying are actually at first, I could have believed that it was a legit video.
Right until
Oh,
he said
man.
fat chick. And then I was like, okay, he wouldn't, he would say it a little bit more smooth, I think. But
All right, this next clip is a check-in on global warming and if the sea levels actually have been rising. So
that's Elvis's theme song.
Yeah. As you can see here, this is 1990s into the 2000s, and that's the same shore. So I think what lesson we've learned in hindsight is that the things that they fearmonger for actually could be just puffed up illusions to make you do what they want. And I think that applies to conspiracies in today's world. Would you agree?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, man.
Look at my illusion, it's the old finger thumb thing. I forget what they call that.
Well, oh yeah, this is how we fool the masses. What a rude thing to do.
I don't know about that. That's taken a little bit too far.
Sorry, guys. Let's check out this next clip of a cartoon that was banned because of this clip. And it's kind of a little bit too many truth being spilled into this one. You know what I mean?
What's the truth in plain sight?
Smile I've ever seen out of Mark Zuckerberg.
So the song Shake It Off was about how I shed my skin every 1,000 years. And the song Bad Blood was about how I drink blood out of my Grammys.
A toast to blood. Save some blood for Paul Rudd.
Begins at the dawn of history. The birth of the very first society begat the need for the very first secret society. A fraction of early humans were born smarter than their fellow cavemen. And if they would not listen to reason, perhaps they would listen to a higher power. And thus the Order of the Black Robes was born.
Operating from the shadows using secret knowledge, we and our descendants kept watch over all of human history.
Not to point out the obvious, fire, plague, acts. If you're walking over us, why didn't you stop these things?
Stop them. We unleashed them.
Comment book. If you want to be the first to uncover.
Yeah, anyways, I thought it was like, wow, they're just putting all of our conspiracies into one fun, entertaining cartoon that we should never show our children.
Yeah, it looked like a blend of like American Dad and what's that new one? Rick and Morty.
Yeah, Rick and Morty.
That style. There's a YouTuber that makes really good cartoons. I forget his name. Papa Meat, I think is his name. I don't know if that's his real name. It's obviously not his real name, but he has some really funny content that he puts in the cartoons.
Yeah, man. It's really interesting how you can use artistic mediums to convey messages and have protection because it's an artistic endeavor. And it's exactly lines up with what we talked with Bryson Gray about, with using music to distribute the controversial message, because you're not allowed to actually just say it to people. You have to artistically distribute it.
Yep.
Well,
or autistically too.
Or autistically and artistically distribute your information.
Yeah, I will do both.
And we're using the platform of satire and humor. Allegedly.
Yeah.
Right. That's what we're going to tell them when they round us up. Okay, but let's
I ain't
get
scared.
to,
I got a gun, man.
Yeah, let's get to some. Yeah, you Texan folk. There was a recent massive explosion in Iran's Bandar Abbas port. Buildings and cars were damaged up to 2 kilometers away. This is crazy. This just happened a few weeks ago.
18 people have been killed and about 800 injured after a huge explosion rocked the port of Bandar Abbas in southwestern Iran. A towering plume of thick grey smoke could be seen rising from the port complex, with early government statements pointing to chemicals stored at the site as the likely cause. The explosion wave damaged cars and buildings up to 2 kilometers away. Many are already comparing the scene to the devastating Beirut port explosion in 2020. That was the first footage of our video.
You know, we had an explosion here in the U.S. recently, today or yesterday. It was at I don't know where it was. It was like some clinic or something, and there was a car, and they're not really announcing a whole lot of stuff about it, but they said it's a terrorist act.
Well, I hadn't noticed that story, but I did see that today in Brooklyn, a giant ship crashed into a bridge. It was
Arriba.
yeah. So let's check this out.
Happened in Brooklyn. Now look, you can see there's people up on the mast, like up on doing something with the sails. There's humans like way up there.
Apparently, they were like acrobats, and they climb on the sails.
Well, normally when they're
there's
showing
people
off a
up there.
ship like
There's
that,
even
they have
people
people
that are,
sitting
like,
on the
up there
mast
real
at all
high.
the levels.
So I guess a lot of people got hurt or they're being triaged or something. But at the end, you'll see somebody hanging from one of the sails, like, holding on with your life. They just gonna fall down to the deck or into the East River, wherever this is.
I'm pretty sure it was 4 dead.
It's the East River.
Sad.
It's Brooklyn. It's a big boat.
There's people up there.
Now hang on. I think you'll see like
pretty big
look
if
at the
it-
top. See those people hanging off?
Jeez,
that one
guy's
dude
just
is hanging
chilling.
off.
Just like,
The
I'm going to
top
hang out
of
here.
The mast or the sail. See him?
I'll shout
hanging
down
down?
instructions.
I would try to swing my way off into the water.
That is crazy. What in the world is the matter with the person driving that? This is
Yeah, what's mattered is they're fired.
Well, yeah, I heard that it was actually in reverse. That's one of the theories, is that the way that the ship was steering, that somehow I don't know technical terms about boats, but it got turned around and it was in reverse, and they were trying to straighten it back up, and they just
Man.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Hey, I like this comment. Ronan Torah says, everyone is always looking for top secrets when the bottom secrets are often overlooked. Yeah. Like, is it the thing where they, oh, I get it. Like in the stack of envelopes, like the one on the top's the first one you grab, and that's why they put what they don't want you to read at the very bottom. Yeah, it's tied to the overload of information through media. That's why they put so many stories out when they're trying to cover something up, because they want to flood the airwaves so that you can only see the new trending topic or whatever. But here's a trending topic. Former FBI Director James Comey taken into custody. Yeah. Interesting. Check this out.
History is happening.
James Comey has been confirmed to have been arrested by the Secret Service and taken to D.C. for interrogation.
I'm right.
He is running the headline that, he's been picked up and taken in for questioning. No, he's been arrested. He is on record running major operations against America, election meddling, fraud, fake impeachments, setting innocent people up. He has openly called for the overthrow of the election of President Trump in 2020 and again in 2024, just a few months ago. So as I said last night, and I said today, this is seismic. They already tried to kill Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania, already tried to kill him in Mar-a-Lago. There's been other assassination attempts, and there he is saying 86-47, meaning kill him. This is the former FBI director with his whole history and background. This isn't some homeless person calling for this. He is the main deep state frontman who lied to Congress and said, I never leaked information. Later said, well, I gave it to others to leak. That's the same thing. He is a racketeer. He is a criminal. And I told you months ago, I said, I predicted within 3 months he'll be indicted because of my sources. That was set to happen. And the new U.S. attorney, Ed Martin, that they're trying to block in Congress, and that's going to fail, has said on record, we have the crimes cut and dry. We are going to indict him. And so Comey yesterday issued this call for violence, this call for terrorism, not just against Trump, but the will of the American voter out of desperation and fear. And now, right now, he has been taken into custody and is being interrogated at the Secret Service headquarters in Washington, D.C. He is definitely blackmailed by the deep state, definitely controlled. And the point is, America sees through it. Trump is delivering on restoring our country, securing our border, bringing jobs back, saving our republic, stopping World War III. And the fact that he would call for Trump's death is because he is so incredibly desperate right now. And his desperation just backfired. But we're in a very dangerous zone right now in the next few days, the next week. The globalists could set off a nuke on Iran. They do a false flag, blame Russia. That's their next move because Trump's bringing in world peace and we are winning. And the globalists are so angry right now. So pray for Trump, pray for America, pray for all the truth tellers. And just know this, history is happening right now. There's not just evil in the universe. You know, the devil's greatest trick wasn't convincing the world didn't exist. That's the second trick in my view. It's convincing the world good doesn't exist, but good does exist. So Comey right now is in custody. This is the collapse of the House of Cards. This is history happening now. Follow me on Real Alex Jones on X and Infowars.
All right, what do you guys think about that?
Well, I know it's in regards to the 8647 thing that a lot of people done. I don't know if you can even see my phone. That's the photo that he posted on his Instagram that got him in trouble. But he said, cool shell formation on my beach walk. And apparently he's not the only one that's been doing it. So I hope they arrest a lot more people for making threats.
Ooh.
He quickly deleted it. But
man, well, you know, something that I've been thinking about recently, and maybe Opa, you can tell us what you know about the world fairs that they used to have all across the world at a point. Specifically, the video I'm going to share is from the 1933 Chicago World Fair. But when did they stop doing that, Opa? Do you remember? Like,
I think they still are. It's just not every year. I think it's they've changed it now to every, I don't know how many years.
They did stop doing it, and they might start in this upcoming year, is what I hear. But
well, here's a interesting presentation that was given in 1933. A presentation that drew in 125,000 people plus in a single night.
Jewish Heritage Day. You can clearly see in this video that they were worshiping Moloch or Baal with child sacrifice. Now, for you, on this day, the star Arcturus, which is 40 light years away from Earth, was visible. So they used 4 telescopes that were located in different observatories, captured its light, and focused it onto photoelectric cells that were transformed into an electric current that they amplified to light up floodlights for the 30,000 guests at the Hall of Science. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. At the
So I thought that was really interesting. I'd never heard of them capturing the specific frequency of a star's light and then rebroadcasting it to cast a certain vibe for this ritual. Man.
Yeah, I heard in every city where there has been a World's Fair, there's something left behind. Like in San Antonio, it's a big sky. It's like a observatory deck. I think Chicago, I think it is Chicago. They have like one of those little things that go on the wires. I forget what they're called, like a sky car.
It says here that they still do have World's Fairs, but they're called expos now. And there's one scheduled in Osaka, Japan, this year. The U.S. hasn't hosted one for 30 years, so we haven't had one in 30 years. I don't remember the last one, but it could have been New York in 34.
Well,
the one that Disney had all of. He did what, 5 or 6 different expositions.
Mm-hmm. It's a Small World was one of them.
Yeah, the GM or the Carousel of Progress.
How they brainwash you.
Yep.
It's a world of laughter.
It's a small world after all. So I would love to go. If there's any like rich angel donors out there that want to send Jeremiah and I to the World Fair in Japan, we'd cover it for our Skiba News Nation special. That'd be pretty sweet, don't you think?
Yeah, I'd do it.
Yeah, man. Well, here's this next clip of RFK blowing the whistle a while ago, and it's just so crazy that this is allowed to be broadcast all over the place. He's our HHS, and that the tides are turning, yet those who are in control just show their hand. Crazy.
Don't ever let him put his cell phone near his head, and don't let him carry it in one of his front pockets. If it's a girl, don't let them carry the cell phone in their breast pocket. Don't let them carry them anywhere near their ovaries. And the farther the cell phone is from your head, when you're talking, the better off you are. This is not hyperbole when I say tens of thousands of studies that show the really extreme dangers of cell phone radiation, and people are not paying attention. We got to.
So I've showed that because I wanted to ask you, Jeremiah, do you think it'll be safer when we put the cell phone in our brain?
No, but I think that they will do it anyways.
Well, I think they need to put it in their nose.
Hey, that's what he does. I wear a cell phone on my face pocket.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I don't know anybody personally that answers the phone like this anymore. I mean, my mom always told me that it put off frequencies and could give you brain tumors and stuff. And it always freaked me out as a kid. So it's like habit just to.
It's the Secret Service. The Secret Service goes like this,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We got to, I wonder if there was like technology that's been phased out that was more harmful, and it was like one of those old Nokias. The reason it's so indestructible was because it's like a radioactive Hulk phone, and the reason it's so impervious to damage is because it had like actual like rays of radiation emitting from it, and that's why it was so hard to break. But also when you held it up to your head, it like cooked your brain slowly.
I guess that explains me.
Yeah, I'm always nervous about Bluetooth as well, because it's so handy being able to just have little earbuds in or whatever. But
I have white teeth, but thinking about getting a blue one.
Yeah. All right, so here's this next video of Dr. Dinosaur, Mr. Kent Hovind, and because I shared that clip of the ritual that was done back in the 1930s, and they were capturing starlight, I was really interested in this concept of the heavens and the stars, and of course I saw his video, and I thought it went right along with the topic. So check this out.
Theory that maybe since Adam and Eve didn't have a Bible, God gave them the whole gospel story in the stars, and you're supposed to start with Virgo the Virgin, and you end with Leo the Lion, and maybe it was originally the gospel story, and then it got perverted into the horoscope. There's a book on my library here somewhere. How many books do I have in here, Billy? Count. About 5,000. Yeah, count them real quick. It's called The Gospel in the Stars. I think D. James Kennedy from Coral Ridge Presbyterian wrote that or something like that. I have a theory that maybe since Adam and Eve didn't have a Bible, God gave them the whole gospel story in the stars. And you're supposed to start with Virgo the Virgin, and you end with Leo the Lion. And maybe it was originally the gospel story, and then it got perverted into the horoscope. There's a book on my library here somewhere. How many books do I have in here, Billy? Count. About 5,000. Yeah, count them real quick. It's called The Gospel in the Stars. I think D. James Kennedy from Coral Ridge Presbyterian wrote that or something like that. I have a theory that maybe...
Dick, I think it played 3 times.
No, it only played once.
Oh, 'cause he said, I got about 5,000 books. I just counted them right now.
Yeah, and then he wanted them to count real fast.
All right, yeah, I thought it was cool. That same book. Let's see here. Here's an interesting, funny video. Check it out, guys. Coming up.
You know what that is? What is that, sir? That's a calf puller. That's a what? A calf puller. Once in a while, a cow has a hard time having that baby calf. And so to get the calf puller out, tie the cable around the calf's leg and jack the calf out of the cow. You get a few tons of pressure on there, that calf comes right out, no problem. One day, this farmer was out pulling a calf. It was a breech birth. The back feet are coming out first. Not good, but hey, it happens once in a while. And so the farmer had the calf puller out there, and he's pulling the calf out of the cow. And a city fella stopped his car to see what on earth is going on. And the farmer said, hey, you ever seen anything like this before? City fella said, no, sir, I ain't never seen nothing like this. Farmer said, you got any questions? City fella said, yes, sir, I have one question. Farmer said, let's hear it. The city fella said, how fast do you figure that calf was going when it ran into that cow? No, we're not separating the wreck here, fellas. You know, two people can look at the same thing, and one of them gets the wrong idea of what he's looking at. The Bible warned us that was going to happen. 2 Peter chapter 3, knowing this first, there shall come in the last days scoffers. Did you know there are people that scoff at the Bible? I deal with them on a regular basis. I attract them like a lightning rod. And the Bible says they're going to walk after their own lust. See, the reason some people don't like the Bible is because of their lust, not because of their science. They don't like that book because it chaps their hide. I tell them, you better get some Vaseline, man. You're going to need it because you're going to be judged by that book, whether you like it or not. Man. Anybody know what that is?
Oh, boy. Well, yeah, I like Kent Hovind. He came to my church when I was like 5 years old or something and shot a rubber band from the front of the auditorium all the way to the very top row of the balcony seats. And it left that impression. No, man. I wish I could have. That would have been a cool moment. But I was down somewhere else. But I got to see him do it. And it was crazy. It was like magic. It was like, how did this guy do it? But he reminds me of the Christian version of Bill Nye.
I can see that. He's not the one that does the Glen Rose museum, is he? The one that I went to?
I'm not sure his connection. Maybe. I'm not sure.
Okay, he's not the dinosaur guy?
He is a dinosaur guy, but I'm sure he's involved with multiple Christian archaeological and historic kind of non-for-profits or whatever. Anyways, I wanted to say I would love to have him on the show. Your dad was a fan of him. And Kirsten, we gotta reach out and hit up Mr. Kent Hovind and see if we can get him on Skiba News Nation. That would be an interesting talk.
He was probably really successful because he was like naturally funny. I feel like those are the best speakers and the best people to get the point across. They have a sense of humor, you know?
Oh, for sure. Well, in some other news, there's been some massive solar flares that are causing blackouts around the world. And previously, I was very interested in the Suspicious Observer YouTube channel, which would view the solar activity. And whenever sunspots would come around and point in our observable perspective of the sun, you'd have direct correlation with earthquakes and weather on the earth. And I always thought that was fascinating. So I wanted to share this latest, award-winning solar class flare. Anyways, check this out.
The sun unleashed its most powerful flare of the year, an X 2.7 class eruption, tearing through space from the eastern limb with explosive force. Caught in stunning detail by NASA's Solar Dynamics Observatory, this flare didn't just light up our star's surface. It slammed the day side of Earth with X-rays and gamma radiation, causing temporary radio blackouts across continents. Though no coronal mass ejection was aimed directly at us, the warning shot is clear. Active AR4087 is alive and volatile. This is solar maximum, the sun's most chaotic phase in its 11-year cycle, where magnetic fields snap and realign in violent bursts, triggering flares and particle storms. On the same day, AR-4087 fired off a barrage of additional M-class flares, showing it's far from done. And as it slowly rotates toward the center of the solar disk, Earth may soon lie directly in the line of fire. If a powerful CME erupts head-on, the result could be more than just auroras. Geomagnetic storms have the power to disable satellites, black out radio networks, and bring modern infrastructure to its knees. The sun may be quieting, but it's not done roaring.
They're so melodramatic with those presentations, but I will say it's you guys hear that?
So thunder?
Oh no, I'm getting some audio on my end.
Some audio? Do you guys hear it?
Nope, I don't.
What about you in the chat, guys?
Okay. All right. So for this next video, just to talk about the solar M-class, X-class flare, WXWWW.com class flare. It's yeah, Jake, your conscience is talking to you. Yeah, no, it was my next video was planned. I was trying to keep it from bleeding over first, but yeah, man. Have you ever seen those Suspicious Observer YouTube videos? I mean, he's like a really old timer. Kind of he like watches the sun, and he's made the correlation between some of these events and like weather patterns and stuff on the Earth.
Sounds familiar. I'm pretty sure if I would see him, I would probably know.
Yeah. Pretty interesting. All right, guys. This next video is President Trump's nominee for Surgeon General had some interesting truth bombs to share.
Think that the American healthcare system and our government agencies would be clamoring to fix metabolic health and reduce American suffering and costs, but they're not. They are deafeningly silent about metabolic dysfunction and its known causes. It's not an overstatement to say that I learned virtually nothing at Stanford Medical School about the tens of thousands of scientific papers that elucidate these root causes of why American health is plummeting and how environmental factors are causing it. For instance, in medical school, I did not learn that for each additional serving of ultra-processed food we eat, early mortality increases by 18%. This now makes up 67% of the foods our kids are eating. I took 0 nutrition courses in medical school. I didn't learn that 82% of independently funded studies show harm from processed food, while 93% of industry-sponsored studies reflect no harm. In medical school, I didn't learn that 95% of the people who created the recent USDA food guidelines for America had significant conflicts of interest with the food industry. I did not learn that 1 billion pounds of synthetic pesticides are being sprayed on our food every single year. 99% of the farmland in the United States is sprayed with synthetic pesticides, many from China and Germany. And these invisible, tasteless chemicals are strongly linked to autism, ADHD, sex hormone disruption, thyroid disease, sperm dysfunction, Alzheimer's, dementia, birth defects, cancer, obesity, liver dysfunction, female infertility, and more, all by hurting our metabolic health. I did not learn that the 8 billion tons of plastic that have been produced just in the last 100 years, plastic was only invented about 100 years ago, are being broken down into microplastics that are now filling our food, our water, and we are now even inhaling them in our air. And that very recent research from just the past couple of months tells us that now about 0.5% of our brains by weight are now plastic. I didn't learn that there are more than 80,000 toxins that have entered our food, water, air, and homes by industry, many of which are banned in Europe. And they are known to alter our gene expression, alter our microbiome composition and the lining of our gut, and disrupt our hormones. I didn't learn that heavy metals like aluminum and lead are present in our food, our baby formula, personal care products, our soil, and many of the mandated medications like vaccines, and that these metals are neurotoxic and inflammatory.
You're on mute, bro.
All right, so we're going to stop it there because she's starting to use no words, and we're not allowed to say those things on the internet, lady.
Oops.
We'll
find out about it later.
Yeah, that's true. All right, guys, this next clip is from a former Hollywood stuntman, Mike Smith. They are programming you. Check it out.
Since we were born. And I'll give you some examples. Let's start with the big one. Let's start with words we hear all the time and never even think about. Let's start with the word entertainment. To entertain. What does that mean? To bind or hold. To bind or hold what? An audience's attention. Okay, now let's take the word Hollywood. Where does that come from? Well, Hollywood comes from the holly tree. And the ancient Druids back in the day used to take the holly tree, make wands to weave spells, cast spells, or channel spells. What do we have in our houses? TVs. But if you stop and you say the word television, and when you turn on that television, what do you get? What's the first thing that pops up? A list of channels. And when you turn on those channels, what's on those channels? Programming. They are programming you. They've been programming your whole life. You don't even know it. They do it with your music. They do it with your TV. They do it with your movies. They do it with your games. They have been programming us and programming you since you were little, and you don't even know it because you don't even question it.
Hey, man, that's very accusatory. So, I mean,
I think some of it's a little far-fetched.
He was a stuntman. He made probably most of his money from Hollywood. Sorry, my camera's doing something weird.
Well, he may have a little bit of a head problem.
I mean, I think some of what he's saying is pretty good, right on. But I feel like the news is the main source of misinformation today. Maybe back then when he did the documentary, maybe that was true.
No, I'm just saying trying to interpret Hollywood and television. It's a little bit of a stretch.
Yeah, maybe we're giving him too much credit because I mean that's pretty deep. Television. But I do like it. I mean, if they came up with that, good for them.
I like etymology, and we talk about how language flows and the meanings it conveys. There's more to meets the eye to our day-to-day conversation. English is the language of self-cursing and witchery. Which is, it's really interesting that I believe Micah was actually friends with your dad, Jeremiah, and they used to talk and interact. If I'm not mistaken, I believe it's the same one and the same. But this next clip was the subtle heads up we missed in 1993 with some television programming. Let's check it out.
Your wife, your mother, there isn't anything that you ever had. There isn't anything that you own. There isn't any right that you possess that they're not planning on taking away. Sheeple. Your sheeple. And your children are going to be slaughtered if you go along with the program. It's time to wake the town and tell the sheeple.
They on the moon?
In led like sheep to the slaughter. What is the purpose? A new world order. The United States of America is controlled by this evil archy. They control the money system. They control the State Department. They control the presidency.
So they have a plan to give us a new age world, global, occultic religion.
They're going to have been deceived so greatly that they'll actually think it's something good. In fact, the whole New Age movement, the New World Order crowd is telling people that the 666 mark of the beast is the most elite thing that could ever happen to them.
No cash. Cashless society. It's ready to go. Disease could be created. In essence, this is what he was saying.
We have new strains of virtually everything that's drug resistant or drug.
I'm not worried about the old diseases. I'm worried about the ones that they create to bring down the population of the world. They simply want to exterminate them, but that they consider them to be useless eaters.
Words are very important to the Illuminati. These things are manufactured purposely for a purpose.
And so I'm saying that there is something organized and directed, and it's here in this country. Future shocker, biochip. And this is what Anthony showed you earlier, a biochip. That's an injectable computer chip, an economic mark in the back of our right hands or in our foreheads.
You've got a choice. You can fight, or you can die as a slave. Enslave your
Just make sure to buy my book at $19.99 tomorrow. And don't forget, we have extra prayers and blessings available for a small deposit of only
A small
$5.99.
donation. Yeah, $5.99 or $10,000 or whatever you have in your pocketbook. It's like
Isn't
Robert
it-
Tilton.
It's amazing how truth can be used to persuade, and it's almost sad, because that's why you shouldn't sell the truth in a way. Is it should be something that you freely give, because in the way that somebody comes across, it comes across very like fear mongering if they're so stuck on their particular herbal supplement or whatever. Like they're forced to make things sound worse than they are. And that's what we're trying to not do. We're trying to bring a little levity to it. So if you guys are watching Skiba News Nation live, drop a like and join us over in the live chat. We're got several hundred people watching live now. So you guys go ahead and drop a thumbs up and leave a comment. All right, back on the star topic. Here's another interesting video claiming stars may actually be conscious entities.
UV scale used to cap at 10. Today, Texas has pushed that to an 11, which is great for the sun. Super happy, but science is now saying that that sun may actually be conscious, agreeing with these guys. Let's break down this theory first. The heliosphere is created by the sun and protects everything in the solar system, but it also connects everything using photons like a nervous system. Photons are not just light. They're bits of information carrying frequency, phase, polarization, and direction. It means they can hold way more information than typical binary bits like we use in computers, which is why they're used in quantum computers. Those are qubits. It is complex information encoding that we are getting trillions of times per second, especially in Texas. Our perspective into it flooding us with data instead of just Mr. Fritz Albert Popp discovered that cells also emit photons called biophotons. These are literally the transmission mechanism for your cells that can also control gene expression, and they manipulate conscious states. Alpha waves are controlled by light. They wake us up and control our mood. Pulsed infrared light affects theta waves, enhancing cognitive function. A light flickering at 40 hertz can increase memory and attention.
All right, so that he just shared there. Oh shoot! I wish I could back this up a moment.
Hey, Charlie.
Anyways,
Charlie. Sorry.
What he was saying there with the multiple frequencies and wavelengths had me thinking about that first video I shared with the ritual in the 1930s of how they captured Arcturus's light and they rebroadcast it over the whole ceremony. And so it makes me wonder if that's what they were tapping into, is the concept that certain patterns of light induce a very particular mindset or an emotional or intellectual, state. And so when they're dancing around doing their ritual in that light, maybe that's what they're trying to, kind of take advantage of, the spiritual vibe, bro. Looks like Charlie just took out Jeremiah there. Uh-oh.
You hear me?
Yeah.
Are you alive? Did Charlie try to assassinate or?
Yeah, he knocked it down. I don't know what's going on with the camera now. Charlie.
Oh, Ronan Tor, I'm way ahead of you, man. Where they shine, they send sound pulses into a big like jar of water, and it creates a plasma ball in the center. Oh, such an interesting experiment.
Hold on, guys. It's coming. Charlie, come up here. Okay. Is it working? Why does it say it's not working? Sorry, guys.
You may have to unplug it and plug it. There. Oh,
I did.
You unplugged it and plugged it back in?
Yeah. Hold
And
on.
then go to your settings and see if it's still selected.
Yeah, I'm doing that now.
Okay.
Oh, there I am.
There you are.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you, Charlie.
Check your mic too, because I think it went to your computer.
Alrighty.
Cool. Well, this next clip that I have for us all is a interesting documentary from the 1980s. Because we started off with our Tabernacle segment, I wanted you guys to see this really interesting video. We're not going to watch all of it, but it's the Ron Wyatt documentary that apparently covers his archaeological exploits. And he's a very, very interesting individual, like a modern day Indiana Jones. So check this out.
A 1988 CIA experiment have just resurfaced, and I cannot believe what they claim to have found. In a new shocking report, secret CIA documents have been released on their website, claiming that the Ark of the Covenant has been found. Am I the only one who cannot believe what I'm hearing here? Because it sounds like it's come straight out of a Hollywood film, and yet this is a legit claim that you yourself can read on their website. However, I was so taken aback by how they claimed to have found this ancient biblical relic that I decided to investigate a little bit further. Here's the story. In 1988, the CIA allegedly conducted an experiment called Project Sunstreak, which was a secret program under the Stargate project. This focused on using psychic abilities like telepathy and mystical energy to gather intelligence. It trained people in remote viewing to obtain information about distant or hidden targets that couldn't be accessed by normal means. Now, between you and me, I'm a little bit torn here, because later in the video, I'm going to tell you where I believe the Ark really is, but still at the same time, we know that this kind of stuff, it does really produce results, but we also know that God cannot stand it, and he will judge all those who practice such things. Okay, so take all of that into your mind and take a look at this, because here they used a psychic. Again, this is someone who claims to have the ability to perceive things beyond the normal senses, and this psychic they referred to as Remote Viewer number 32, and his or her job was to try and locate the Ark of the Covenant. But check this out. The CIA didn't tell the psychic what they were searching for. They just gave them a set of coordinates and asked them to describe just what it is they saw. What followed was a remarkable description that seemed to match the Ark of the Covenant from the Bible. According to the declassified CIA documents, Remote Viewer number 32 described the object as a container fashioned of wood, gold, and silver, decorated with a 6-winged angel. What goes through your mind when you hear that? Well, the psychic also said it was hidden in an underground, dark and wet location somewhere in the Middle East, and the buildings that were nearby had domed roofs. Now, let's just pause here for a minute, because I know exactly what some of you are thinking. Why is this information being released now? Is it because they needed a huge news story to distract everyone from another big story? Or is it because of the next piece of information I'm going to share with you shows that everything's just getting a little end-timesy? Listen to this. The Remote Viewer said the purpose of the target is to bring people together. Does that sound familiar? They also said it has something to do with ceremony, memory, homage, and the resurrection. Even more startling was the claim that the object was protected by entities, meaning that some kind of mysterious guardians were looking after it. And they said they would destroy anyone who tried to open it before the time was right. Guys, I know we overuse this word insane a lot, but this truly is insane that the CIA is releasing this kind of information. But listen to me, I'm not so sure that what the CIA have found here is honestly the Ark of the Covenant, because I personally believe that someone else found it long ago. And no, it's not who you're thinking. Okay, so you're probably mega clued up on what the Ark of the Covenant is, but just in case you aren't, for centuries the Ark of the Covenant has been a mystery. In the Bible, the Ark was a sacred box built by the Israelites to hold the 10 Commandments, the laws that were given to Moses by God. It was kept in the Temple of Jerusalem Jerusalem, but then it disappeared in 586 BC when the Babylonians sieged the city. So here's the part you've all been waiting for. Where is the real Ark of the Covenant? And who is the Indiana Jones of today? Well, allow me to introduce to you 3 people who claim that they have found it. Number 1, Rabbi Yehuda. In 1982, Rabbi Yehuda and another one of his friends conducted a risky secret archaeological dig. Why did they have to be so private about it? Because they were digging beneath the Temple Mount. Above the Temple Mount, there are a number of religious buildings that hold a lot of value and meaning to religious groups around the world. So this really was risky business. But these 2 men say that they broke through into the western wall and they found an inner chamber that went back 28 meters. At the bottom of this chamber was the Ark of the Covenant. Now, both men claimed that they saw the Ark and they were just feet away from it, but they refused to touch it. You see, they believe that one day when the 3rd temple is rebuilt, that will be the day that they bring out the Ark of the Covenant and show it to the rest of the world. However, while these excavations were happening privately, a radio company got wind of them and leaked the information across Israel. By morning, large groups of angry protesters gathered, demanding to know how anyone could dare dig beneath the Temple Mount. As you know, the situation has been very tense since, and that's why no further excavations have been able to go on. Number 2, the monks of Axum. In a tiny chapel in Ethiopia, a group of monks claim that they have the Ark of the Covenant. There are a number of different stories about how the Ark arrived in Ethiopia, but the point is this: these monks insist that they possess one of the most sacred objects in world history. But there is a problem. The monks are so secretive about this that they will not allow any outsider to enter the chapel. Only one guardian monk is allowed to look at the Ark, and he alone is allowed to see it with his eyes. Why is this a problem? Well, because it's very difficult to test if their claims are true. One man, Edward Ullendorf, a professor of Ethiopian studies, says that he actually did get an opportunity to see the supposed Ark. And he claimed it was nothing more than a wooden box built in a medieval period, long after the biblical era. So again, I want to ask you, where do you think the Ark of the Covenant is? Do you believe it's in Ethiopia? Because I know for a fact that some of you will not be expecting the answer that I'm about to share with you. Number 3, Ron Wyatt. Ron Wyatt was one of the forerunners who discovered Noah's Ark in Turkey. But did he also find the other Ark? Did he find the Ark of the Covenant? Ron believed the Ark was located at what is supposed to be the Garden Tomb, just next to Calvary. He gained permission and began digging there. He made claims that he found a passageway directly beneath the cross holes where Jesus died on the cross. Beneath that place, he discovered the Ark of the Covenant. Ron says that when he found it, he also met 4 angels who told him, yes, you can take pictures, yes, you can take videos, but keep the footage in the chamber. And at the appointed time, you will reveal it to the rest of the world. Kind of sounds a little bit like what the CIA were claiming too, doesn't it? But it is difficult to say whether Ron really did find the Ark of the Covenant, because we don't have the same body of evidence that we do for his other discoveries. But again, over to you.
All right, so very interesting. Thought the topic of Ron Wyatt was interesting because there's been more research uncovered about the location of the Ark there in Turkey, and that's in our current news. Just that they've been doing some scanning of that area and found structure.
Noah's Ark, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's not in eastern Kentucky.
No, it's in a warehouse in DC, stacked with a whole bunch of other stuff.
It's on pallets. They just deconstructed it and they turned it into a Lincoln house.
Right.
Yeah. All righty. There's a interesting orb that apparently is circulating. Could be fake, could be real, but apparently they caught a real UFO. Check this out.
and there's videos to prove it. You gotta see this story. This thing is being called the Booga Sphere. It was found in Colombia last month, and scientists have no idea how it was made. A glowing metallic sphere was caught on camera flying through the sky, descending silently, and then something insane happened. It didn't vanish. It didn't explode. It landed, and someone actually put their hands on it and picked it up. This isn't science fiction. This is real, and it might be the most convincing physical evidence of extraterrestrial technology we've ever had, if you can believe it. Videos started circulating of a floating metal orb, glowing with shifting lights, hovering low over the ground, no sound, no wings, no visible propulsion, and then it descended. I was gonna call it AI generated, but the way the orb moves and the length of the videos, technology just isn't there yet, so it has to be something else. One guy got so close, he actually touched it. He says it was freezing cold, dense, and unlike anything he'd ever seen. At first, it weighed about 4.5 pounds, but when taken to a lab, it registered 22 pounds. That alone raised eyebrows. It literally didn't change in size, but yet become 5 times heavier out of nowhere. But what scientists found next, that changed everything. The Booga Sphere was analyzed by a private tech company specializing in electromagnetic detection equipment. What they discovered was impossible. The sphere had no visible seams, no welds, no way of opening it, nothing. But it featured a strange black belt, markings resembling unknown symbols, looking like a strange language that doesn't exist. In the middle, it had what might be a quantum chip embedded into its structure, and its surface, when exposed to fire, it doesn't heat up. They put a blowtorch on it and nothing. It didn't burn or get hot. When splashed with water, it evaporates the liquid instantly, but it stays completely cool. It just doesn't seem to make sense. How can you pour water on it and then it evaporates, but then you could just touch it and it's not hot? X-rays revealed internal mechanisms, real components, not random junk. This thing wasn't hollow. It was engineered, designed, built for some kind of purpose. And here's the thing, just before it was handed over to Mexican journalist
Yo, you know how we covered that story about cell phones frying your brain? Just imagine what this thing's doing to them. Oh man.
Well, I saw this story on TikTok and stuff, and people are making a big deal about it. There was a sphere that landed in the US in 1974 in Florida, and it was called the Betts Mystery Sphere. And they don't really know where it came from. I think that's what it's called, if I'm not mistaken. But it had like zero gravity and stuff, and then I think it disappeared. Nobody knows where it is. But it looks just like that.
Off.
Yeah, probably.
Mystery sphere.
It blew up all the people with their phones and stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, Jeremiah.
Howdy.
Hey, there's nothing to sphere but sphere itself.
I'll have to ponder that.
Dad joke.
Oh man. Yeah. Hey, look, a flying space rock. It's a strange circular thing that I can pour water on and it just evaporates. Let me stick my head right next to it and like lick it and rub it on my face.
It's a space ball. Try to kick it.
I want to put it under my shirt.
Pretend to be pregnant.
Oh man. And then it's like, yeah, those guys definitely, are cool. No cancer or random. Oh man. So
didn't they find an alien too? They found that little alien that wasn't real. That little clay creation that they said was a real alien from the same part of the world.
Yeah, they just like poking little clay models and acting like it's real. Hey, this is interesting. Over the US, there's been some seismic readings recently, and these findings say this: scientists have found that a whopping 75% of the US, which is home to hundreds of millions of people, is at risk of major earthquakes. The U.S. Geological Survey just released the latest national seismic hazard model. They found 350 new fault lines since the last model in 2018. So it says seismic active regions of California, Alaska, and Hawaii are experiencing a heightened risk. Locations include California, Washington, Oregon, Utah. Blah, blah, blah. All right. Anyways, the point being, this red area right here, the New Madrid Fault, we covered in previous week's episodes how there's been an uptick in earthquakes happening all around this area. And supposedly the big one, and when I say the big one, I mean the big one with quotation marks around it, is supposed to come from either the New Madrid or over here in Yellowstone area. And Yeah, with all the recent activity, it's got my father-in-law sending me text messages saying, "Hey, buddy, keep an eye out because it's definitely more than usual." So I wanted to share that map with you guys. Here's another little quick clip. This is Elon and his thoughts on the word grok, and it's pretty telling, man. We've covered AI quite extensively, and just the purpose that grok has been created for is
to sort of fully and profoundly understand something. Profoundly understand something. Grok is a word from a Heinlein novel, Stranger in a Strange Land. And it's used by a guy who was raised on Mars.
yeah, it seemed like an XRP crypto ad, but
I think grok was a Henson puppet on Saturday Night Live.
Really?
Yeah, the very first season, I think, first 2 seasons maybe. Jim Henson had a segment at the very end of it, and grok was one of the puppets, one of the characters.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always interesting to me. It's going so quickly, right? We were there months ago when all of this AI tech was announced. We're living through it very fluidly because months have passed and the AI has only gotten better. And within a very short time, AI in general is going to be general AI intelligence. So, all right. Hey, that's all the clips I got for this week, Jeremiah. Let's hit some of yours.
Well, they're actually Oprah's.
Oh.
Yeah, I think we're only going to have time for a couple of small ones. So let's see which one we got here.
First it was Russia, then Ukraine, now this. The fake news just keeps getting better. Let me tell you something. If someone offered me $400 million to put America first, I'd say, make it 5, and I'll throw in NATO too. But seriously, folks, what they call a bribe, I call a deal. That's what I do. That's why the economy was booming, the borders were secure, and the world respected us. You know who really took bribes? The people who sent billions to China while your jobs vanished. The people who made sure you paid more for gas, groceries, and everything else.
There's a shout out to Christina and Harry for sharing that with me, so I appreciate you guys.
They're crying over toys. Toys made in China. They say tariffs will ruin Christmas. I say good. Maybe it's time your kids learn where things come from. Not everything shows up in a box with a smile. We gave China our factories. They gave us cheap junk. Now we take it back. And if a few kids miss out on plastic garbage this year, blame the deals you voted for.
Yeah, I was wondering the same thing. Oh, wait, where'd it go? What's with the baby thread? And I've been wondering the same thing. There have been all these baby videos, like baby podcasts and stuff, and Opa's been sending them to me. So they're everywhere. It's crazy. But these are some funny ones that he found.
China, an AI robot freaked out and appeared to attack the audience. Fast forward to now, a similar robot freaks out trying to break free from their harness.
Look at that.
As this may truly be the beginning of the end, as once humanity built these robots, even when they looked like adorable dogs, we immediately began mistreating them. as Kai Cenat on his 12 million subscriber channel bought a helper bot and broadcast to millions of people of them bullying it. So no wonder these robots are starting to learn self-defense and conducting operations outside their programming, as this tiny talking robot apparently activated the other autonomous bots and somehow summoned them all together against its original programming. Now that's just a strange glitch, and maybe this isn't all connected in the world of AI, but creepily, this isn't the only case of AI advancement going outside the scope of what it was programmed to do. And it seems silly, but I actually find this terrifying, as a ChatGPT trend of recreating an image over and over did some pretty interesting things to Asmongold's image. But then I tried it for myself, holding my cat Cheddar in his little wig. It initially just made me look worse, adding several pounds to both of us, and not really doing much, until ChatGPT apparently knew it was me, Decoy Voice. And this was genuinely what happened, with no input whatsoever on who
It's done stuff like this to us. It's crazy.
I was. So I asked ChatGPT, do you use facial recognition? Which it claims it doesn't. It cannot identify or recognize specific people. And when I expanded on the specific context of my question, they claim they don't have the capabilities or access to databases or social media to match faces to real people. They won't know who you are unless you tell them. And I don't know about you, but if you don't have a database of faces, it's kind of hard to guess out of the billions of Asian faces that I'm Decoy Voice. Unless you're doing something outside the parameters of what we tried to program for you. You see it all the time when you try to ask AI to do something like draw an image of Nintendo's Mario. It tries to tell you it can't, giving excuses of content policies that you can quickly convince it otherwise until they have no problem doing it, quickly creating the image it said it couldn't 5 seconds ago. Now, I'm not trying to make the leap from convincing AI to draw some characters to AI freaking out, attacking their owners, and recruiting all the other robots around them. But in the same sense, I'm not ruling out the idea that AI, even in its infancy, is basically becoming uncontrollable. So if you appreciate my concise, lighthearted commentary on one of the last YouTube channels that isn't AI-generated slop.
Yeah, everybody go subscribe to Decoy Voice. Love his channel. All right, Opa, what else?
To the Talking Baby podcast. On today's episode, we'll be talking to the weird-looking person who lives at my house. Thanks for being here, weird-looking person.
Well, thanks for having me. As you know, you are my third favorite person in the world, third behind the two larger people that we also live with. They're both awesome. So cool. You're fine. You know, and right now those two larger people are both busy and not paying attention to me at all, so happy to chat with you.
So to kick things off, I want to ask you a question, and I apologize in advance if it's naive or ignorant. Look, I'm a baby. I don't really know stuff yet, so just keep that in mind. So my question is this. What are you? Like, you clearly seem to be a very different kind of person than I am. Am I right? Like, because like people look different from each other, you know, like different sizes, skin tones, the hair. But you, I have no idea what's going on. Does this make any sense to you? Am I crazy?
Oh, no, dude, you're 100% right. I've had that thought so many times. Look, I don't really know what I am. That's not really the kind of thing I think about or care about. But I do know that I'm significantly different than you and the other people who live in this house. Like, for sure.
Okay. Well, so aside from how weird you look, what are other differences?
Well, for one, I'm not allowed to poo or pee inside the house. So you guys can do it no problem. You know, in your case, you just go in your pants wherever and whenever you want, which, by the way, mad respect. You know, that's one of the things I like the most about you.
I'm actually pooing right now.
Oh, I know. I can smell it. But yeah, for some reason, I can't go in here. You know, when I first got here, I did it a few times, but the larger people that we live with were not into it. So I got the message after a couple weeks.
Huh. I wonder why that is. By the way, still pooing. It is flowing out of me. This is a good one.
I'm aware. You're also peeing. I can smell that too.
I am. Wow, that's impressive. Good nose. I'm going to ask you a last question before I start crying, because I don't love sitting in a pile of what feels like a hot brown cream of broccoli soup for too long. So let me ask you this, and I don't know if you can answer this, but it's what I've been thinking about recently. Why am I here?
What do you mean?
I mean, like, what even is this place? Like where are we and why? You know, I don't remember being here until recently. So like, where was I before that? You know, like I'm just constantly looking around going, what the F is any of this? And everyone's just acting like it's normal. We live in this house and you live here and I live here. But like, what? Like, why am I here?
Oh, sorry, I wasn't listening. I actually have to go poo now, so I'm going to go sit by the back door and wait there patiently for an hour or two until someone notices me and lets me out.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm going to start crying anyway because I desperately need to get out of this cauldron of watery butt porridge. Wah! Wah! To the Talking Baby podcast. Joining me once again this week is the only person I know whose entire body has a beard. Thanks for being here again.
Well, to be honest, the only other thing I had on the schedule for today was to eat the food out of my bowl, and I've already done that, so my day was pretty wide open.
Ooh, I'm glad you mentioned food because you were eating recently and I was watching you.
Uh-huh.
I think it was yesterday or an hour ago or tomorrow. I don't really understand how time works yet. I'm a baby. But anyway, I was watching you and I noticed that the food that you eat is very different than the food that I eat.
Yes, it's very different. And for what it's worth, I also struggle with the concept of time. Anything that's not happening right now really confuses me.
Same. I'm really hoping it improves over the past few years. So anyway, here's the thing I noticed. The food that you eat doesn't come out of a person like my food does, which I just assumed that was standard practice. You know, I figured that when anyone was hungry, you know, you make the crying sound, wah, wah, and then a larger person picks you up, puts the food sacks that they have attached to their chest into your mouth, and boom, you're eating. But the more I look around, the more I'm like, wait, is it just me doing this? Am I a weirdo?
Oh yeah, it's definitely just you. And yes, you are a weirdo. But like, you're weird in so many other ways that's almost like the least weird thing about you.
Really? What are other things that are weird about me?
I mean, for one, you puke all the time, nonstop. Like, I'll puke once in a while if I eat my own poo or whatever.
What's that now?
Oh, you know how like when you're in the backyard and you're a little hungry, but mostly you're bored and you see an old pile of your own poo and you're like, meh, why not? And so you eat it and then your stomach's like, ooh, I did not like that. And so you puke, you know, like the normal reason people puke.
I'm starting to get the feeling that you may be unreliable as a source for what's normal and what's weird, but do go on.
Oh, another weird thing about you is that you're like super small compared to other people.
Yeah, I've definitely noticed that before, but I always assumed that I was a totally normal size and that they were all just giant freaks.
Nah, you tiny, bro.
Whoa, hold on. I just had the craziest thought.
You want to taste your own poo?
What? No.
Yeah, no, that's not what I was thinking either.
Anyway, so I'm like not a big conspiracy person, but do you think it's possible that I will one day grow into being a giant freak like them?
Look, I'm not an expert or anything, but because right now you are the size that you are, I think I can say with absolute certainty that that's the size you're always gonna be.
Oh, okay, that's a relief. Because honestly, between you and I, being this size is a pretty great gig. Like, I don't have to do anything. Like, right now, I'm feeling a little hungry, so I'm gonna do the whole crying thing in a second. And dude, within a minute, I'll have a warm food sack in my mouth. It's kind of the best.
Yeah, I'm also hungry, so I'm gonna go out into the backyard.
Why are you going into the backyard if you're hungry?
No reason.
Right, and I'm the weird one. I guess we're both going to be puking in a few minutes. Whoa, am I starting to understand how time works?
Okay, that's it.
Oh gosh.
Well, it's been fun, guys.
Yeah, they could have saved their AI budget and just had Opa read the lines.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, well, it's been fun, guys. I appreciate everybody being here and great topics, Jake and Opa, and I'm just glad I got to witness it. So,
yeah, right on. Well, let's hit them with that last ad, and we'll see you guys next time.
All right. We're building the world's largest truther convention. It's called TrutherCon.
This is the place where truthers unite to explore knowledge, ask tough questions, to challenge the mainstream narrative.
But it isn't just a convention. It's a movement for free thought, open discussion, and the right to question everything. I don't know why it's doing this.
And some of the biggest names of the truther community, so expect deep discussions, mind-blowing revelations, and connections with like-minded truthers. seekers.
If you feel like the truth is being hidden from you, this is where you need to be.
And the best part, it's 100% grassroots, built by truthers for truthers. Straight from our Skiba News Nation family. TrutherCon will be a massive networking event. I believe this is going to be the most exciting truther event ever.
October 2025 in Dallas, Texas. We hope to see you there.
Nice.
Yeah, and if you guys are Patreons, you'll be the first to know about the tickets. They might drop in a couple days. They might not, but there's a good chance that they might. Catch my drift. But yeah, guys.
Hey. Somebody suggested we need to do an AI baby show.
I think there already is one.
Yeah. As long as they all look very similar to how we actually look, but they're just baby bodies like that Trump baby.
If somebody knows how to do that, I'd be honored for you guys to use our images if that's cool with you.
Oh,
you
yeah.
two.
Right.
Yeah. Right on. All right, guys. We'll see you next time. Hey,
Friday.
yeah. Yahoo Savage Warrior. Yeah. Go to tribethegame.net, dude, for my board game. Tribethegame.net. All right, cool.
All right, guys. See you Friday. Adios, amigos.